and welcome to the season finale of Nerd Central. I'm Krista. Special thanks to Devin for filling in for me last week. We have our next installments of Force Feeding, Flight 828, Digital Dreams, and Anime Academy. Plus, we decide on the best farewell on Showdown. But first, let's talk about the news of the week. Some trailers are made to get people hyped for a film. Others just announce that the film is coming. Whatever the case, we were treated with 2 trailers this past week. The first was Dark Phoenix. We have talked extensively about this film, and we're guessing you all know the premise. So here's just a little bit of the trailer.
Ladies and gentlemen of NASA, this is Charles Xavier. Help is on the way.
We're doing space missions now. Cool.
We get the astronauts, we bring them home. Go.
The heat signature's rising fast.
We gotta get out of here.
Where's Jean?
Where is she? Jean!
She should be dead.
Did you hear what the kids are calling you? Phoenix.
Hello, Jean. Who are you? The better question is, who are you?
Something's happening to me. When I lose control, bad things happen. But it feels good.
The film will be released on June 7th. The other trailer was for the Playmobil movie. Very similar in design to their Danish counterpart Lego, Playmobil figures feature claw-like hands and connectable feet. And just like Lego, they are attempting to launch a film franchise based around the plastic toy. The film is part live action, part animated, and follows Maria, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, as she gets sucked into the Playmobil universe to find her brother. Maria must team up with a secret agent and a fairy godmother, played by Daniel Radcliffe and Meghan Trainor respectively. Kenan Thompson lends his voice to Bloodbones the Pirate. The film will be released on August 9th. Now let's take it to Force Feeding with Cody.
I'm Cody Nance, and this is Andy Johnson. We love Star Wars, but not all have seen the Star Wars, so I reviewed and ranked all the films. Now the trailer for Episode 9 has came out, so we're gonna analyze it real quick for you. Whether you like it or not, this is Force Feeding.
I love how interesting it is that they actually start off with just breathing. And
For all the trailers?
Yeah, and then we get our first shot of Rey in her new outfit.
I like the hood.
We've passed on all we know.
Down, and look what we have here.
All right, so what do you think she did to fix it?
The Force? That should be...
That's Kylo's.
It's Kylo's TIE silencer.
Kylo's trying to run her over.
But this is your fight.
And that look back, which is kind of
Okay,
like...
what was she doing? Was she starting to run?
Completely different shot.
I really like this.
Shots. He's literally stabbing him with this extra exhausts, but he's also like kind of carving him up a little bit with the lightsaber. It's kind of cool. And then you got, I honestly thought that this was gonna be like a Knights of Ren trilogy.
And retcon time.
Yep. Not Kylo is fixing his helmet because there's hair on his hand.
It's very dark though.
Yeah, but it's hair. It's definitely not Kylo. And there's our shot. There's our hero shot again.
Boyega's grown some hair.
Yes, he has, and he has and he has Rey's staff as well.
Yeah, and then Poe Dameron's cosplaying Nathan Drake.
Yeah, very Nathan Drake up there. There he is.
There he is.
He's back.
Run, Lando! They're coming for you.
And he just laughs it off. Ah, there she is.
Yeah.
Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher. Right there. Look at that.
Death Star
2. What is she carrying? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is like, what is she? She got like a.
It's like some kind of backpack. Might have the books in there.
True. I don't know. That the backpack doesn't look. Backpack doesn't look big enough to have all those books that she carried. But
could just be a couple of them. Could be the
True.
MacGuffin of the film. that's about all we can say about this trailer. I've been Cody Nance, he's been Andy Johnson, and this has been Force Feeding.
Thanks, Cody. Chucky is back and sporting a new voice. A Child's Play reboot trailer dropped last week, and dolls are creepier than ever. The trailer consisted of several quick frames of horrific imagery, but the money shot came in at the end as we got a zoom in on Chucky's dimly lit face as the voice of Mark Hamill welcomes Andy. Needless to say, this Andy has a much rougher life than the Andy in Toy Story. Now let's take it to Flight 828 with Lauren.
Welcome back to episode 11 of Flight 828. I'm your host, Lauren Adams. This week, I will discuss the highlights of episode 16 of Manifest and my final theories on what happened. The episode begins with Cal having a major breakdown. He says he can only tell Zeke why. After James is released from jail, Ben, Michaela, Sanvi, and Zeke have a calling that says, "Stop him." Cal shows Zeke why he was upset. He knows that they are all going to die and he can't stop it. James goes on the news to reveal the callings. They try to stop him, but he dies by drowning on land. Even though he is dead, Michaela has another calling that says, "Stop him." She believes it's about Zeke and Jared because there is tension between them. The Stone family learns that James' death was 82 hours and 8 minutes after he came back, which is also how long he was gone for. Olive connects everything to find that the passengers only have 5 years left to live and they will die on June 2nd, 2024. The peacock is one of the symbols of the Roman goddess Juno, which also represents the month June. The Gemini petroglyph represents twins, which is the number 2. The dragon that Cal made out of popsicle sticks represents the Chinese year of the dragon, which is 2024. Ben did the math and also got the same date. At the end of the episode, Sanvi goes to see a therapist about her PTSD, but it's the major. Grace reveals that she is pregnant, but she got pregnant right before the plane got back. The episode ends with another cliffhanger. Michaela goes to check on Zeke and Jared, and they are fighting. A shot is fired from one of them, but we don't know if it hits anyone or what happens. My main theory now is that the passengers will die in 5 years if they don't complete their mission. I believe that their mission is to complete all the callings they received to make a better world. If they don't, or use the callings for evil like James did, then they are bound to die on June 2nd, 2024. We also learn in this episode that Zeke has a history of crime and drugs. That's why Jared doesn't get along with him. Zeke seems to be a good guy so far, but my theory is that he might turn out to be like James and abuse the callings. He got a gun to try to kill James before his news appearance, but James died on his own. Jared saw that and then confronted Zeke about it. That leads me to my next theory. I believe that Zeke shot Jared. Zeke already did something bad by even getting the gun. Then if he shot Jared, then maybe he will be who the passengers have to go after. Or he could just die like James did because he abused the callings. My last theory is that the Major is going to start kidnapping the passengers. I believe that she will kidnap Sanvi during the therapy appointment and then hold her hostage to bring the other passengers there to save her, but then they will also be taken and be experimented on. Thanks for watching. I'm Lauren, and this has been the final episode of Flight 828.
Thanks, Lauren. We are going to take a short break, but when we come back, we have our next installment of Digital Dreams and Anime Academy, plus Star Wars news that weirdly enough wasn't announced at Celebration. Stay with us. Welcome back to Nerd Central. Let's talk about the news coming out of the galaxy far, far away that wasn't announced at Celebration. We have known for about a year that Rian Johnson, David Benioff, and D.B. Weiss are working multiple films each in the Star Wars galaxy. Well, they are doing much more than that. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy stated that the trio will be making the roadmap for the next decade of films. Johnson, Benioff, and Weiss have to finish their current projects, with Johnson in post-production on his murder mystery Knives Out, and Benioff and Weiss are finishing a little show called Game of Thrones. Kennedy also confirmed that the projects revolved around the Knights of the Old Republic have been talked about at Lucasfilm. The early 2000s video game of the same name takes place about 4,000 years before the event of the original trilogy and focuses on the character of Darth Revan. Star Wars will be very busy this year with the release of the final film in the Skywalker saga with The Rise of Skywalker, the second season of Resistance, and The Mandalorian, the first live-action television series, which we heard from a reliable source who was able to see some footage from the show and said that it looked pretty good. Another video game being adapted has found its star. Showtime's Halo series has cast Pablo Schreiber as John 117, better known as Master Chief. Halo is also a video game franchise published by Microsoft and playable on the Xbox family of consoles and the PC. The game follows Master Chief and his AI companion Cortana as they fend off the alien covenant from the taking over the galaxy. The series is produced by Amblin Entertainment, Steven Spielberg's production company. Production is scheduled to start this fall in Budapest. Now, let's take it to our anime segments, Digital Dreams and Anime Academy.
Hello and welcome to the final episode of Digital Dreams. We're officially out of Animator Review, so I wanted to touch on some other popular media you might be interested in if you're eager for more Digimon stories. The first piece of media based on the original Virtual Pet toys is a one-shot manga called Come On Digimon, The Capering Monster Bun. This story features a world not unlike the one in Yu-Gi-Oh!, where 3D virtual representations of Digimon battle. The manga features a lot of prototype designs and character ideas that would later be implemented in the first anime season. This naturally spun off into the second manga following the Digimon craze, Digimon Adventure V Tamer 01. This is an alternate universe version of Digimon Adventure, featuring the same main character but a completely different interpretation of the source material. In this series, Tai and his V-Dramon, Zeromaru, search to find the 5 Tamer tags and defeat the evil Daemon. While it's likely that this was originally developed alongside the initial Digimon Adventure, you can really feel the later episodes and seasons pulling inspiration from the series. There's also a series of novels based in the Adventure universe. Unlike Digimon Tamers 1984, these novels are simply retellings of the events of the series. However, they follow a sort of reverse pacing where the battles are skimmed over, but the backstory and character development are covered much more extensively. If you can find English translations, I'd highly recommend the read. Digimon Adventure Anode Tamer and Cathode Tamer kickstarted a series of games for the WonderSwan and WonderSwan Color Japanese handhelds. They tell the story of Ryo Akiyama and his involvement with the events in the Adventure universe and his eventual transition into the Tamers universe. They answer some key questions about Ken's past, give Vmon more of a backstory, and explain Ryo's appearances in the second film and second season before being featured as a main character in Tamers. Digimon the movie is a messy Frankenstein of a film. Realizing that they were a little late on the Digimon craze, 20th Century Fox decided to dub the pilot short film Digimon Adventure, the second film Our War Game, and the third film Hurricane Touchdown Transcendent Evolution at the same time and release them all as one 90-minute disaster. Apparently the initial pitch only included the first 2 films, which is much more reasonable, with the third being dubbed direct-to-video, but this was rejected. That method would have been preferable as these 3 films have nothing to do with each other and a significant portion of the third movie had to be cut. The result is an hour and a half of utter nonsense, featuring 2 time skips and a confusing plot because 3 stories had to be rewritten to focus on a single one-off character. The only saving grace is the soundtrack, which is full of 90s pop, rock, and ska bangers, and used Smash Mouth's All-Star 6 whole months before Shrek did. That's right, 4-year-old Devin was in on the ground floor of memedom. There are numerous audio dramas and character albums based on the anime series, too many to name. Most of them are intended as humorous radio plays featuring the voice cast, deal with some inner character struggle, or detail the events during time skips or epilogues. One of the few exceptions is The Door into Summer, which serves as a sequel to the third film and wraps up some of the loose ends with those characters. Digimon Next was initially supposed to be the manga adaptation of Digimon Savers, but the series was delayed and a new story was written using similar ideas. The series follows a boy named Tsurugi who needs to find 8 Digimemories to save the digital world. Digital Monster X Evolution was a direct-to-television CGI film used to promote toy merchandise. The story was loosely based on the Digimon Chronicle mini-manga that accompanied the Pendulum X toys and dealt with the introduction of the X antibody, which some Digimon have naturally and others can be given. It instigates a power boost and prevents damage done by the X program, which is used to eliminate 98% of digital life. Finally, the Digimon Cross Wars manga, much like Toyotaro's Dragon Ball Super manga, is non-canon to the show, but acts as promotional material for the anime. It follows a story similar to the one set up in the Cross Wars anime, but follows its own path with new allies, villains, and rules. This manga is also notable for connecting its version of the Cross Wars universe to the Adventure universe by including the Wizardmon from that universe, as well as connecting the V Tamer 01 universe by implying that the Ulforce Vidramon featured is Zero Maru. Okay guys, by week 11 I've probably talked more than enough about the various Digimon properties, so I'll leave it to you. There's a whole host of manga, literature, anime, film, and video games based on the virtual pets. Which interpretation appeals to you most? I wish you luck on your very own Digimon adventure. Thanks for watching.
Hello and welcome to this week's segment of Anime Academy. In this segment, we will be discussing sports anime and how they get us hyped. In anime, there are tons of genres. There are action shows, adventure shows, and even horror shows. The idea that there is a whole genre of sports anime out there isn't too bizarre. When talking to people, it seems to be one of the less watched type of shows out there. While they may be niche, there are still great shows that deserve attention. There are many sports shows out there, but here are a few to start with. Megalobox is a boxing anime that takes place in the future. The story revolves around Joe, who is a skilled boxer who doesn't use enhancement to fight. The show takes place in a futuristic city where the boxing tournament is being held. The difference between this show and other boxing anime is that it takes place in a futuristic setting. Most sports anime are grounded in reality, but this one takes it in a different direction. Another great show is Yowamushi Pedal. In this show, the main character is riding his bike to the store when a member of the bike racing team notices him and is impressed. Push comes to shove, and he becomes a member of the team. This show is unique because it is about a sport that isn't usually seen in media all that often. It makes it more interesting by exaggerating certain aspects of the sport. These shows are great examples of unique takes on the sports anime genre. They try something new and are good at it. There are tons of basketball and baseball anime out there, so it's cool to see a different sport being represented every once in a while. This was Drew with Anime Academy, and thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys. This is our final episode of the season, which means we have to say goodbye to the seniors who have made this show possible. One of those seniors is our producer, Andy. Andy has been our fearless leader for 2 years now, but it's time to say goodbye, old friend, and may the force be with you. That's going to do it from me. You can watch all of our previous episodes on the KNWT YouTube page. You can also follow KNWT on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And follow Nerd Central on Twitter at nerd_central_TV. What is the best farewell? Let's kick it over to Devin Van Zant for Nerd Showdown to find out.
Hello everyone and welcome to Nerd Showdown, the part of Nerd Central where we battle it out on a particular topic we have no business debating. With KNWT seniors graduating next week, we ask the question, what is the best television farewell? To qualify, a main character has to leave the show, and that show has to continue on without them. Keep in mind, our fighters will be diving deep into their respective shows, so this is your spoiler warning. Let's meet the fighters. First, I have Kyle Harris. Kyle, what farewell have you chosen?
Michael Scott from The Office.
And next to him, I have the creator of Behind the Magic, Raylan Emery Callahan. Ray, what have you chosen?
George O'Malley from Grey's Anatomy.
When we come back, the showdown will commence. Welcome back to Nerd Showdown. Kyle, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Ray, are you ready?
Yep.
Then let's show down. Kyle, why don't you start us off? Why do you think Michael Scott's farewell is the best farewell on television?
Well, Michael Scott was on The Office for something close to 6 seasons. That's a lot of time to spend with a character, so you really get to know him. One brilliant thing I think they did is that, there's not a lot of character development in the show. It's kind of told in nuggets throughout. The emphasis is on the comedy and entertainment, and the characters kind of progress minutely throughout the show. And so it all kind of culminates when Michael leaves The Office, and we get to, release our emotions, and they're very earned emotions because they're built up over such a long period of time. Michael goes around to each employee within his office and gives each of them a moment and a gift. So we get to check in with all of our characters and see how they're affected by the departure and see how they've grown together, and it's really neat and it's really organic.
Okay, Ray, why do you think that your farewell was the best television farewell?
It was, for George, he left the show because he ended up passing away. And it was definite, you know, we weren't going on to wondering what he was doing. As, you know, Michael, he also had the chance with all of the other castmates to kind of have those moments of like where they got to say goodbye to him, like cherish those moments they had with him. He also died a hero. He was going to go into the Army, and then all of his organs were donated, so it was kind of like an honorable death in a way. He was a character that everyone loved, and they spent the 2 episodes, you know, really getting to show all those moments of like how much he affected those people in that way. It was, although very tragic, very comforting in the same way. We weren't going on figuring like how his life was going to be, you know, we knew he was like in a better place and that, you know, people would go on to cherish him.
All right, Kyle, why do you think that George's farewell was inferior to Michael's?
Well, I think the writing on the episode just got a little bit lazy. George's character is a doctor. I believe he's a surgeon. I haven't watched every episode. I'm not an expert. But in my research, I think he's a surgeon for 3 seasons, 4 seasons he's on the show. In the end, he just decides to join the Army towards the end of his life, and then the next day gets hit by a bus. Part of the reason that I think The Office was so cool is because, like I said, you don't normally get those emotional moments. When you got one, it was really impactful. Whereas every episode of Grey's Anatomy involves 3 deaths, 2 new office romances. I mean, everything is ultra heightened. So when something like George's death comes around, it's a drop in the bucket, in my opinion. It doesn't make as much of an impact.
All right, Ray, why do you think that Michael's farewell was not up to par?
Well, I mean, the show kind of went on to not be, you know, the best. He was the best part about that show, and then, you know, he leaves, and it's like, okay, what's the show going to do now? You know, he just leaves to go have a family. Like, you want to know about that type of stuff. Like, it kind of just leaves you up in the air. Like, I wonder what Michael's doing now, and, like, you know, he should be here for all these moments. So then you kind of just get mad along the way, like, Michael should be here right now seeing this going on with all the cast members, and like you don't get to see that. But like with George, he just dies, like you don't have to go on and wonder, you know where he is.
Kyle, final thoughts. Why do you think that Michael's farewell was the best farewell in television?
Well, I actually think that my opponent kind of hit on it a little bit. When Michael leaves, the tone of the show completely changes, in my opinion. So it's not just a goodbye to Michael, but the episode is almost a goodbye to The Office, like as you know it, or as it is. And they do a really good job of that. Additionally, we do check back in with Michael later on. He attends a wedding, and we get to check back in on him, see what, you know, how he's turned out, and he does reconnect with the people. So I do think we get that moment.
Ray, final thoughts.
He gets hit by a bus, which then his organs are donated, which again is like a hero's death. Like I really appreciate how they did that for him at the end. They made him this person who goes on to help so many other lives. He impacted people's lives in such a big way that even up until this day, they still talk about his death.
That's going to do it for this week's Nerd Showdown. I believe the winner is Kyle. Now, each week we have a Twitter poll regarding the topic at hand, and our Game Master James has been keeping an eye on it. James, how did the fans vote?
Well, in our final poll of the semester, in a vote of 22-9, Michael Scott from The Office wins the best farewell.
You can head to Nerd Central's Twitter at nerd_central_TV. Stay tuned for Nerdmageddon. That's coming up next. We'll see you in the fall for a whole new season of Nerd Central.